Hello, everyone, and welcome to Comics with Friends. I am your host, Ethan, joined by my co-host and best bud, Mason. And today, for this very, very spooky episode, we are covering The Immortal Hulk, Part 1, Or Is He Both? By Al Ewing and drawn by Joe Bennett. What's up?
Not much. When I think Halloween, I don't think the Hulk. Well, that's not entirely true. Because, you see kids dressed up as, at least growing up, there's a lot of kids.
I dressed up as the Hulk once.
But, I don't know. I like, because, we've talked about the comics and stuff we want to read for the holiday. Mm-hmm. And Hulk is definitely not something that jumps out at me. But I was surprised at how much horror elements were in these 5 issues of Immortal Hulk. It was one of the things that I enjoyed about it. My overall thoughts of the comic were not necessarily negative, but not necessarily positive. Hulk, I have mixed feelings about.
Okay.
Because I loved Planet Hulk.
Okay.
Planet Hulk is
I was about to say,
one of my top.
Planet Hulk is one of the.
It's one of my top 5 comics I've ever read in my life. Yeah. And so I knew going into this it wasn't going to be the same level.
No, this is many years after Planet Hulk.
It didn't necessarily sell me on the character, but it was interesting enough to keep me going like, okay, what's happening next? Even after the 5th issue with the way it left off, I was like, okay, like I'm interested to see where this goes, but I'm not like Usain Bolt sprinting to the next issue to find out what's going on. But I did enjoy. It was a quick read.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was a super quick read. But yeah, that I was pleasantly surprised by at least the horror aspect of it, which I don't usually associate with Hulk.
Right. And I understand that idea of, you were interested in it, but not engrossed in it.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm looking at it from a little bit of a rose tinted glasses. Man, I've got some TikTok brain rot,
oh my
God. Because I've read it and I loved it.
Hold on. Before I wanna do this TikTok brain comment thing. Last night I was doing my DM for my game. For D&D at the other place I do run a game, and one of my players was like, I forget exactly what happened, but she said skibbity, and I literally looked her dead in the eyes. I was like, I'm finna ban you if you ever say that again. And everyone just started dying laughing. It was super hilarious and everything like that. But you said Riz and TikTok brain, and that just came to my mind. So sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good, man. That's fucking funny. But yeah, no, I'm looking at it through rose tinted glasses just because I've actually read this, and it's really good. Like it's pretty solid almost throughout the entirety of the run.
Yeah.
So I know kind of what happens later on. I don't want to spoil anything because I think this will be a story we come back and visit. Not anytime soon because we have a lot of different stuff planned. Yeah. And I know we are barreling ever so quickly towards World War Hulk.
Yes. I also thought it was good that we read this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that this is after all that or before?
This is after all that. This story is the result of the fallout from Civil War II.
Okay. I have that in my notes because I assumed that was the case because of a line that Bruce says
later on in
this run. So, I mean, I thought it was nice to also just, get some more Hulk context of what the character's kind of like. Yeah. For when World War Hulk comes around.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is after, so the character is going to be different. But it's just nice to get some experience with the character in general.
Now, I do believe this run came about. Obviously, like I said, it comes out after Civil War II, but it also it kind of comes after All New, All Different, which was an initiative that Marvel put out where their big 4 characters were kind of retired. So Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, they're all kind of retired. I think at this point, Cap had either become a Hydra agent or had lost his powers. I believe he was a Hydra agent at this point. Iron Man was put into a coma by Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Hulk dies in
Civil
War 2. And Thor was, quote unquote, dead, and Jane Foster had taken over.
Okay. So when you say Captain America was a Hydra agent, is this when that whole like uproar happened when he like is revealed to be like when he says like Hail Hydra or whatever?
Yes, and the internet for some reason lost their absolute minds over it, saying that Marvel was going bankrupt.
Yeah, even as an avid,
it's not even Captain America.
Yeah, like
you later find out it's not even him.
I'm not an avid comic book reader, but even I heard that whole thing pop off.
That was because at that point they had already replaced Tony with Riri Williams.
Yeah,
Ironheart, and obviously people have very strong emotions about that character. I'm indifferent. I don't care. You know,
I've never read anything about her.
I love Jane Foster Thor, but I know people really don't like that as well. Obviously, Sam Wilson became Captain America. Yeah. He still is Captain America as far as I know. Like there's just multiple Captain Americas now.
Kind of like a Spider-Man situation.
And then Hulk was replaced with Amadeus Cho. Who is a part of the Champions.
I do remember that name.
Yeah. He was actually in one of the backup issues of Planet Hulk.
Okay.
I don't think we covered that for the episode.
No, we didn't.
But yeah, no. This kind of comes out a little bit at the tail end of that all new, all different era, and they were trying to kind of reestablish their core characters. I think at this point they had also reestablished the Avengers with Jason Aaron at the helm, and that's a story that we will cover at a different time because, that run was something.
Okay.
But Al Ewing is a pretty prolific writer. Mm-hmm. He has created some pretty cool stuff, and he has like some really good takes on characters and really likes to experiment with genre. And you can really tell in his Hulk run that he really wanted to make Hulk feel like a monster, but not in the same sense as like he's just a rage machine. It almost felt like those old, like black and white,
like Frankenstein,
the Wolfman, all that kind of stuff. It really it invokes a lot of those Universal monster movies.
I will say, with you saying that, the way Hulk is drawn, at least his head, is very Frankenstein.
Yes,
like the way the proportions and
and
like that.
And and that really like harkens back to the golden age of comics, the way Hulk was drawn.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that Frankenstein was an inspiration for his...
Because he was originally gray.
Yeah.
You know?
Obviously, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde aspect of Bruce Banner is always going to be there. So, but that's kind of like the brief history. I don't want to get too crazy into history because we've already kind of covered a lot of stuff about Hulk. Obviously, if you don't know who the Hulk is at this point,
one of the biggest Marvel characters.
Again, top 3 most popular characters.
He has a popsicle.
Yeah, he has a popsicle. He has a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Dude, one of my favorite toys as a kid was the fucking Hulk fist.
Hulk fist?
Dude, me and my sister, we both had gotten Hulk fist one year for Christmas, and one of the first things we did was go out on our porch in the middle of fucking winter in upstate New York. And so there's just ice and snow on the porch, and we just started duking it out.
Yeah.
It was highlight of childhood right there.
I never had those growing up. I had the Spider-Man the canisters that shoot the silly string.
I always wanted those.
I had those.
But I never got any of them. And I'm like, here I am with the Hulk fist while they're cool, but I'm a Spider-Man fan, and I see all the cool kids with the fucking silly string Spider-Man web shooters.
My mom got so pissed when I had those. Because I would spray that shit at the walls and the ceiling fan. And she'd go, what the
ceiling fan just starts fucking going everywhere.
Man. So... into the story now. Into the story. Something I will say that I really like, every issue is punctuated by a quote.
Yes.
I really like that. And there's this constant theme of everyone kind of has two sides of them. The one that they see and the one they don't want to.
I think what's the opening quote is there's two people in every mirror. The one you can see and then the one you can't.
Yeah. And that's kind of Bruce's like inner monologue.
Which that theme kind of goes through, I don't know how far beyond the 5 issues because we only read the 5 issues. But you see it multiple times with his character where he might be looking in like a window or some kind of reflective surface.
Yeah.
And he sees the Hulk back at him.
Yeah.
Which is used a lot. In Hulk.
Yeah. To me, I feel like that's really just a Hulk staple.
Yeah.
When you have a character who has an uncontrollable transformation or just an uncontrollable power, you're always going to see that represented in their reflection.
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
So we open up issue 1 with a nice little quote that says, "Man on the whole is less good than he imagines himself to be or want to be." And that's by Carl Gustav Jung. I believe that's how you pronounce the last name. I don't know who that is. Yeah, it just says psychology and religion. That's all it says underneath his name. But cool quote. Yeah. I do like that again. And then, like you said, Bruce Banner has the monologue of there are two people in every mirror. You know, the one that you can see, and then there's the other one.
Yeah.
And we open up with a mom and daughter who are kind of taking a stop at a gas station. You know, the mother's telling her to, you know, if you're going to buy something, don't buy like sugar, buy something healthy for once.
Being a mom.
Yeah, being a mom. And she's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Preteen.
Yeah.
You know, answer.
And she walks in and there's a guy who's looking at her wearing a baseball cap who is Bruce. It's Bruce Banner. And he's looking at her and the girl's like, you know, what the fuck are you looking at?
Yeah.
You know, she's not cussing at him, but she's like, what are you looking at, creep? And you see on a newsstand a magazine with like a almost Bigfoot style picture of Hulk saying alive.
I had that in my notes. I was like, Hulk equated to Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Which is hilarious considering
the character that comes up later. Dude, trust me, I know.
But also should be said that when Bruce is giving that narrative monologue, it is showing a man outside the gas station who obviously is getting ready to rob the place because it shows him like having a gun that he's like prepping and everything like that. And like it's like showing him in the rear view mirror again, going along with kind of that mirror theme of the monologue. But yeah, Bruce gets called creep. I forget what Bruce is saying in the narration at the time because his narration I'm pretty sure is happening pretty much through like consistently through the book as events are happening.
It is, but not at this moment. Okay. It's just the guy, the robber enters.
Yeah.
The clerk notices the gun. He's asking for, you know, the money, no alarms, nothing like that. And it startles the girl who we know we get introduced to her as Cindy. Her mom calls her Cindy right at the beginning. That becomes important for the end of this issue. And the robber turns to her and shoots her and kills her.
Yeah, because when she gets startled, she drops like an orange soda or
something. It breaks on the ground.
And it scares the shit out of him. At first, I thought he missed.
Yeah.
Because what it shows is the glass breaking on like a fridge behind her.
Yeah, no, it was just a clean shot through.
So I was like, oh shit, he missed.
Yeah.
And then Marvel pulled a fast one on me and killed a fucking kid. And I was like, oh, okay. This is the direction.
This is the kind of story we're going into.
I was like, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And Banner, you can see his eyes start to glow green and he starts to get pissed off and he's about to say like, you killed her. But before he can finish his sentence, the robber just shoots him right in the head and kills him.
Which I thought was cool subversion of expectation.
You think he's going to Hulk out here and that's going to be it.
Yeah. Nope.
And then the clerk is begging for his life saying, I haven't done anything. I haven't set off any alarms.
I haven't seen your face.
Just let me go. And he shoots the clerk, takes the money, and runs.
Yep.
We cut to a little bit later in the day. It's nighttime, obviously. There's a bunch of detectives, and there's actually a news reporter that's there. I believe her last name is McGee.
Yeah, it is. Which anytime I hear that name, I think NCIS.
Yes, same.
Every single time.
Yeah. So they are sitting there. They say that the child's name was Sandra Ann Brockhurst, 12 years old. Really sad. Really crazy that Marvel did that. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, that's crazy that you wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, because
like child death is kind of avoided in a lot of stories.
Yeah, so like like I don't know if you've ever watched like like K-dramas or anything like that. In America, depending on what you watch in America, violence is pretty readily acceptable. Like you see weapons and things like that. And sex is treated a little more taboo, while in like, not necessarily K-dramas is a bad example, but a lot of like stuff in, I'd say from what I've seen, like sex is less taboo subject than violence is. It's this weird like difference. But I bring that up. It's kind of a roundabout way in my mind to bring up the fact that like there's certain things in America that we like consider, I guess, censoring like taboo, like you don't do. And like usually child death is one of them. Animal death, like a pet, is one of them. Like, I mean, you've hear it all before, is like you're watching a movie and you go like, I swear to God, if that fucking dog dies, I'm going to riot. But like that, so it was definitely catching me off guard when that kid got shot. Like got.
Damn.
I was like, oh fuck. But she's dead as dead because when the cops are doing their thing and everything, they're talking about it. One of the cops, the detective, is talking to McGee and is like, yeah, we got 3 bodies in the morgue, 2 adult males, and, the 12-year-old girl. And it shows them all on the slab in the morgue.
Now, she does mention, because she gives the names of Sandra and then the clerk, but she says that the third gentleman in the hat, he had no ID, probably a local. He has no paper trail, and so they just call him John Doe. And it was kind of interesting where McGee is asking for paper records, and, the detective essentially says, like the CSI is not going to let you dig into this. And she's like, why? And the detective is essentially like, you shouldn't be surprised by this. And she continues on to say, like, you see how the world is, and, even if you don't want to see it. Basically saying, like, if you dig into this, you're going to find something you don't want to see, basically. And as she's giving that narration, Banner starts to come back to life. His hand turns big and green, and he transforms. We don't see it, but we see his hand.
It's that horror element. Where they show a smidge of the monster.
You can almost, like, during the transformation, you can kind of almost hear like in my mind's eye, the bone cracking of like him transforming, and then like, how in the horror movies they have the violin that slowly goes up in pitch.
I mean, I just watched. It's not as horror film, but last night I watched Aliens. Because I saw it on HBO Max, and I was like, I just saw Romulus not too long ago. Let's go on the Alien binge. I'm doing my annual replay of all the Dead Space games. So like you said, like, you have that suspense of like, the monster's there, but you just haven't really seen it yet. And that's what that is when he transforms in the morgue. It's just that little smidge of the monster until you get the full reveal.
So the robber has returned back to this, I'm going to assume they're like a biker gang. And it turns out he owes money to this gang, and this guy is really fucking shaking him down.
Big time.
He only got $200. From the robbery.
Killed, as far as he knows, killed 3 people.
One of them a child.
A 12-year-old fucking kid. and he only got $200 out of it.
Now he does say he's like crying, he's remorseful, like he keeps saying I didn't mean to.
He's not like inherently evil.
Yeah. And the biker guy kicks him out, basically tells him to get the rest of the money, but before Tommy, the robber, can leave, the whole ground just shakes. Mm-hmm. And they run outside and they see a big ass crater with, I don't know what's in it. I don't know if it's like a bike was crushed or something like that.
I think it was like power junction or something.
Cause that's right. Because he tells him to check the generator.
Yeah, all the lights go out and everything like that.
You're right. Yeah, he says check the generator, and they're yelling at each other, and they're like, "Hey, I think I see something in the shadow." And one of them goes up to this like dark ass doorway and is like calling out to him, like basically telling whoever's in there to get the fuck out, or they're gonna unload on him. And before he can finish his sentence, these two massive green fucking hands come out.
The funny thing is right before that, one of the because the main guy's like, go check out the generator, and the guy goes out there, and it doesn't show, but he sees the fucking Hulk.
Yeah.
And he comes back running in, and he's like, "All right, it's the devil, man. I don't know." Yeah. And the guy's like, "You fucking crackhead! Like, what the hell are you talking about?"
Yeah. So the Hulk gets these dudes. We don't see it. We don't see. I kind of like that. I like that we don't really see a fight for most of this story arc.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only real fight
towards the end
is in issue 5.
Yeah, the last issue, which I don't know. I kind of like it.
Well, it adds to that horror thing.
Yeah,
where you don't see it
until the end.
They always say the imagination is like the most powerful tool when it comes to horror,
and I think it works here.
It works here perfectly.
Yeah,
because I don't necessarily need to see the Hulk
beat up a bunch of normal people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we know what it's going to look like.
Kicking a baby.
Yeah, we know what it's going to look like. He's going to fucking turn him into origami, and that's going to be the end of the story.
He's going to fold him like a pretzel.
Yeah, bro.
So I don't need to see that. I like the more narrative side of it being like a horror film where and Tommy runs out to the car and he's like trying to get the key in there and drops it, and then he turns
and you just see
a dark house, silent.
Yeah.
And dude, it's so well, like that is so well done.
Yeah. He's it's funny that you mentioned that, because like that's the part that we're on. Mm-hmm. He's looking at the house and he's hearing things. He's looking, he's pointing his gun everywhere, and he's like, is anyone still like alive? And when he turns back around to look at his car, the Hulk it's just a full double page spread of the Hulk just staring down at him.
And I will say the Hulk looks creepy.
He looks so terrifying, and all he says was Sandra Ann Brockhurst was her name.
Yeah.
And dude, the Hulk looks crazy.
Dude, he looks like he's a fucking crackhead.
Yeah, Joe Bennett knocked it out of the park with the art in this. Mm-hmm. And I'll say the colorist as well. I believe his name is Roy, but it's spelled like Ruy, so it might be Roy Jose. He was the inker. And then the colorist was Paul Mounts.
Okay.
So those three all together really just knocked it out of the fucking park with this art.
The art was hit. All right, time to go on the art spiel. We do it every episode. The art for me was hit and miss.
Okay.
There was times where I was like, this looks great. Like a lot of times when the Hulk was on the panel, like screen, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this looks absolutely
beautiful.
Fantastic. Yeah. Again, like we talked about this a little bit in Geiger. We talked about this in Superman. Mm-hmm. I just have a thing with faces.
Okay.
And if you don't nail the face, then it bothers me.
I think there might be a character that I know bothers you. And I think it's the guy that gets introduced at the end.
He's one of them.
Okay.
There's a couple times where I look at Bruce and I'm like, damn, like you ugly, son.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I have a thing with the faces, I guess. But overall I like the art. Yeah. Like, cause it does. I will say, like, even though the face stuff like bothers me in that way, I do think it lends itself, at least from my perspective, to the horror aspect of things.
Yeah.
So like I give it credit there, but again, art's subjective. You loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No,
just from my subjective perspective, I was like, okay, it's okay. Pretty much when Hulk's on the page is when it's like hitting all cylinders for me.
Which to me, I feel like should be the case.
Yeah, definitely. Because Bruce Banner is technically main character, but to me,
the Hulk is what you're here to see.
Is the main character.
Yeah, that's what you're here to see.
Yeah. Anyway, art spiel.
No, I mean that was definitely a good point to bring up. So Hulk, he confronts Tommy, and he actually it's kind of interesting in this story. Hulk, and I think I said this for Planet Hulk as well. Hulk is really like thorough in the way that he talks to Tommy in this scene, and he's kind of thorough in the way that he talks to everyone.
He's intelligent.
Yeah,
he's not, like you said before, he's not the rage machine. He's not the rage monster that he's been depicted in the past. Like he has coherent thought.
Yeah,
it's like what we talked about in Planet Hulk, where you had the separation of identity. Like Hulk is his own person and Bruce is his own person, and I feel that here that they are cohabitating in the same body pretty well, in the sense of like they are very well aware of each other's psyche of each other in the same body.
Yeah. So Hulk starts to question Tommy, and he says, "How does it feel in your hand?" And Tommy's confused at first, and then Hulk says, "It's heavy, right? All the stopping power, heavier than it is at the range even. And I bet it was even heavier at the gas station with the new targets." And he says, like, wasn't there some part of you that was wondering what you could do with that power? If you just let it loose.
Yeah. And it really zooms up on the Hulk's face.
And he's smiling and everything. And then Tommy tries to shoot the Hulk, and Hulk looks down at the bullets pinging off of him. And he looks back up, and he says, like, I think I found someone who deserves to be hurt, who deserves to have the power let loose. I think I found you.
Yeah.
And he just has this big fucking smile,
almost sinister and evil looking.
Yeah, and he says, Hulk says, you feel sad that you killed those people, but ever since you pulled that trigger, you've been lying to yourself. And he smiles at him. He says, "And I can smell a liar."
Yeah.
And Tommy starts begging for his life, and he's like, "Please don't. I have a daughter. I have a baby. I'll turn myself into the police. I'll never do this again." And Hulk just says Tommy's like, "Trust me, I'm not a bad guy." And Hulk says, "Is that what you think?" And then he just reaches in for him, and that's all we see. We don't see anything else.
Not until
the next page,
where it shows him fucked up.
Yeah,
in the
full
hospital.
body cast. Yeah. Just like he had internal bleeding, punctured lung.
They literally said every bone in his body was broken.
Yeah, and the detective and McGee are the ones that are there at the hospital, and the detective tells McGee, like, this is off the record, but the guy, before he lost consciousness told me that the assailant was big and green.
Yeah.
And that essentially gives McGee the go ahead of I need to pursue this.
Yeah.
Because you later find out that McGee has kind of a history,
a personal
connection to Hulk.
Yeah.
That gets kind of a little bit unraveled in this, and does get further unraveled.
Okay, after
this, yeah. Okay. And then at the end of the first issue, we get the narration. There are two people in every mirror, and he says to himself, "Am I a bad person?" Or Banner says to himself, "Am I a bad person?" Because he's in a motel room.
Yeah.
And he looks up at the mirror after he asks himself, "Am I a bad person?" And he says, "What do you think?" And it shows the Hulk smiling back at him.
Yeah, because I like that, because it the way Bruce says it is exactly the same way that Tommy had said it to the Hulk. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm not a bad person, right?
Yeah.
Like, and Bruce in the mirror says the same exact thing, and the Hulk gives Bruce the same exact look that he gave Tommy.
Yep.
And I think when he's like, what do you think? It's like, it's his own way of saying again, I smell a liar.
Yeah.
You know, like that whole interaction with Tommy, which I have never been more afraid of the Hulk in my entire life.
Yeah.
Than after reading that first issue.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Hulk, scary.
Yeah, I like this.
Perfect for the Halloween holiday.
I agree. So issue 2 opens up with another quote that says, all that a man hath he will give for his life. I don't know what the fuck that means. It's Job 2:4, so you know, from the Bible. Opens with Banner kind of giving this narration about how he has this constant dream of it. He said he used to dream about the bomb dropping, the gamma bomb that turned him into the Hulk.
Yeah.
But now he doesn't have that dream anymore. He now has a dream of him waiting for the bomb to drop. And it's like, it's more, what's the word? Stressful, anxiety, like ridden, because
it's all that tension.
It's the tension, yeah, and that's what he talks about. Like, it's just knowing that it's coming,
but not knowing when.
Yeah,
he knows it's coming, but not knowing when.
Yep. And he is. They don't really explain it right here at the beginning, but it gets explained a little bit later on. But Bruce is traveling across the country. This is kind of like a Ghost Rider, where it's kind of like a road trip.
A little bit. It's taking you on his wandering.
Yeah.
Because that's what he essentially does.
Yeah. And it cuts to Banner waking up on a bus. And he's essentially narrating to himself, like, you know, no one's going to pay any mind to someone who looks weird like I do. Mm-hmm. You know, basically saying like he looks like a weirdo. And he talks about how going to sleep at night has become difficult because when when Banner goes to sleep, the Hulk takes over.
Yeah, because he says multiple times the night is his.
Yeah, this is kind of them establishing, because this was obviously not a thing before. This is them establishing that the Hulk only comes out during the nighttime now. Yeah. Which leads like into the whole like werewolf aspect.
Yes.
The obviously most horror movies take place at night. Mm-hmm. You know, big part of horror. And we kind of get a nice little like glimpse of Banner looking out the window. You see Hulk's reflection, and where Hulk's shadowed eye is, there's kind of a green glow that does come into play later. Mm-hmm. So Banner gets into this small town. He ends up going to this restaurant, and he eats some breakfast.
Yeah, and that whole when he is like pulling into town and goes to this diner or whatever, he's talking about how, like, you know, he never knows when he's gonna eat next. What money he steals or earns or what, you know, like he never knows what he's gonna have or don't have. So he lives very simply by what he says, the pleasures of the five senses.
Right.
And so like when he's eating his breakfast, he's having like an orgasmic experience as he's eating his 2 eggs and stuff like that. Like he's like, I just live for the simple pleasures, the five senses, all this stuff. So I get it. You got to find the joys where you can when you're literally just walking around afraid when you're gonna turn into a monster next.
Yep.
Like, I get it. I just thought it was funny that he's literally like, gooning over this fucking breakfast. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
So as Banner is kind of traveling through this town, he sees some newsstands. Obviously, there's some newsstands that have like Hulk-sided printing on them, that kind of deal. And then he sees one that kind of catches his eye. That's a local newspaper that says it's the mayor kind of responding to the mysterious deaths that are happening in town, and it's essentially like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing to worry about. And so Banner goes to this local bar and starts talking to the bartender about these deaths. And one of the customers, one of the regulars, says like, all this started when the fry boy died.
Yeah.
And Banner's like, well, what's he talking about? And the bartender, talks about, I forget Del Fry. That's the kid's name.
Yeah.
The son's name. And they, talk about how he was this star athlete, super rich, good looking, but he was also super humble. He never let his status ever get to his head. He was like a hero to the town. And then just one day he just killed over. Like they said he had something called embolism, which I don't know what that is.
I'm not 100% sure. I chalked it up as something similar to like an aneurysm.
Yeah.
I think an embolism is like for the heart.
Okay.
Like not cardiac arrest, but like a blockage of some kind or something like that.
I believe they do establish that his mom died from that as well,
Yeah.
which comes into play here in just a second.
And they also mentioned that his dad was a doctor as well.
Yeah. And the bartender says that he died from this embolism, and he was getting medical treatment from the hospital. And she mentions it was radiation treatment, and that obviously sets Banner off.
Yep.
He goes to the cemetery. Now, this is where he has another narration where he talks about, I once had an acquaintance that I asked to kill me if I ever, lost control.
Yeah.
I gave him a special arrow, and I told him to put it in my brain.
Yeah. So we're obviously referring to when Hawkeye
Shot and
killed him in Civil War II.
Yes.
There is also another thing that that customer mentioned in the bar where that also kind of set off Banner's kind of like weird shit's happening radar.
Yeah.
Where he's like, it's like a chain of grief where like everyone's just dying like that has interacted with the Fry Boy. So like that I think kind of indicates to him like, okay, all these people are centered around the Fry Boy, and they're the ones that are dying, not people who had no association with him at all.
Yep.
So that
it's almost like a curse. I think he even says he relates it to a curse.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Which I think that's kind of cool.
Again, we're gonna keep bringing it up, but a lot of like horror aspects and things like curses, obviously the way he's being drawn, all this stuff, it's all horror.
Very cool. Yeah, I was gonna say Roy, the customer, first off, he looks like Morgan Freeman. Second off, he is drawn like it's hard to explain. It's almost like the vagrant who, I don't know if you've ever seen Friday the 13th, but there's always some guy who's like, don't go down to Crystal Lake. That's where the curse is.
It's like Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. It's
with the gas station. And everything like
it's
that,
it's the old guy who obviously knows something is fucked up and going on here, but everyone's like, oh, that's just crazy Bob.
Yeah.
It's that character.
It's just vagrant Bob talking his bullshit again, even though every fucking tourist that's come through here has just disappeared.
Yeah, they never go home.
Yeah, he's definitely not crazy.
Our impound center is filled with their vehicles.
Yeah.
So that's just a little side note. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. He really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has that narration about, Hawkeye giving him that arrow. And he says, I did die, but the Hulk did not.
Yeah.
The Hulk healed. But he mentions that he doesn't think the Hulk fully healed from that arrow, because he was like, that arrow was supposed to kill both of us.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know I'm still intelligent. I'm still a physicist. I'm still a master of, gamma radiation. I can do all these things still, but I feel like the Hulk can do more as well now.
No, I think part of that probably adds to why Hulk seems so intelligent, because even Bruce, I think, says at one point that like he's afraid that Hulk's even smarter than he is now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is usually not the case. Like, it's not that, like, again, like Planet Hulk, Hulk wasn't stupid.
No. Hulk is an intelligent character.
Yeah, but now the fact that Bruce is like, he's smarter than a radiation expert and, nuclear physicist and everything like that. Like, yeah, that's a bit concerning.
Yeah. Yeah. So Banner goes to the grave of Del Fry, the star athlete who died, and he touches the ground where the cemetery or where the gravestone is, and I don't know if this is new. I know the liar thing is new because an aspect of Hulk in this arc is he can always tell if somebody's lying.
Mm-hmm.
That is a power. That's a new power that he has. I don't know if the ability to sense gamma radiation is new.
I would lean towards the side of probably not new, because I've obviously this is only the second Hulk shit I've ever read.
Yeah,
but
same.
I feel like because a lot of Hulk's enemies usually involve being radiated and turning into some kind of monster and stuff like that, that I feel like that's maybe this might be the first time it was like vocalized of like, I can sense gamma radiation, but I feel like he's always just like been attracted to it in some way.
Because there is something he does later on towards the end of the story where he absorbs gamma radiation.
Yeah.
I didn't know he could do that either.
I knew he could absorb it, but I didn't know he could absorb it via like parasite, absorbing it out. I knew like if you shot him with radiation,
of course,
he would absorb it and get,
because it just doesn't hurt him.
Yeah.
So, but that's kind of a little sidetrack right there. So he touches the ground and he instantly is like, I can sense gamma radiation coming off of this gravesite. He gets to the nearest payphone and he calls, like, I don't know if he calls the police or he calls
like the EPA or something like that.
And, he's telling them about the radiation and stuff. And they're like, sir, there's nothing wrong. Like, if this isn't a real emergency, you need to get off the phone. And he's like, my name is Robert Bruce Banner, and I'm at, this fucking address. Yeah. Don't make me angry. And they're like, just wait right there by the payphone.
Yeah. Of course he doesn't.
Of course, no. Because he has this huge monologue where, they told me to wait, but I have places to be. We saw it on the way coming in on the bus, talking about that green glow. That at first you're like, oh, that's just a nice little aesthetic thing they're doing to show like energy.
And energy. Yeah.
No, it's actually a plot point because he follows another trail of gamma radiation, and he even talks about how the Hulk kind of brought him here. And he goes into the cave where you just see all these like shriveled, mummified bodies just littered everywhere. Yep. And he's like, oh, these are like hitchhikers or, tourists and stuff like that. And you see this man glowing, kind of like, I don't know how into Batman Beyond you are, but Terry's like main villain, Blight, the CEO.
Oh, yeah. No, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. A little reminiscent of Geiger.
A little bit reminiscent of Geiger as well, yep. And it's essentially, the same thing.
Yeah.
And he grabs onto Banner and he's, he apologizes to Banner like, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this. And he's going to kill him. And then Banner starts to transform and Hulk just tells him off. Like not, tells him off, but he just screams at him off.
Yeah.
And pins him to the fucking ground. And he's like, you're going to tell me what happened and don't lie because I'll smell it on you.
Yeah.
And that's when we get the explanation from, the scientist, the father.
Yeah.
I don't know the father's name.
I don't remember.
I don't remember his name, but Hulk just calls him Fry.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's family name.
Yeah. So essentially, that's where we get the explanation of his wife Claire died from a disease, you know, and he talks about how he never thought about death until after that. And, you know, as time went on, he, you know, him and his son found out that his son also had it because it was hereditary. And so he did everything in his power to do research on finding a cure. And eventually he, like, you know, stumbled onto essentially like Banner's gamma radiation, you know, projects. And he created his own cure, quote unquote. And he said that he couldn't wait for testing.
Yeah, and so he used himself as his human trial run, and it seemed to have worked.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't have any side effects. He seemed like 10 years younger.
Yep.
He, you know, he thought he had found the cure. And so he goes and gives it to his son, who immediately has side effects.
Yeah, and fucking dies.
And that's how he, quote unquote, keeled over.
Yeah. He essentially killed him with gamma radiation poisoning.
Yep.
He starts like puking green blood.
Like, it's coming out of his eyes.
Yeah, and he dies instantly.
And he keeps, as he's dying, he keeps talking about the door. The green
his son.
door.
Yeah. His son keeps saying, I can see it. I can see it below us.
Yeah.
And, you know, his son dies right there. And Hulk is like, you know, so you did that. You killed your son. You decided to hide out in the middle of nowhere, killing all these people. And he's like, the reason why you didn't die or get any of the bad side effects right away was because you were a scientist. You had a tolerance. You had a tolerance to gamma radiation. Like, that's a reason why I'm not fucking dead either. And he was like, you know, you're in the walking ghost phase, which I forgot to mention at the beginning of this. He does talk about the walking ghost phase.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you know, people who are terminally ill but say they feel perfectly fine. They don't realize that they're already dead, basically.
Yeah. It's like that moment, like real life. I would say real life connection is like, you know, the fallout from a nuclear blast. You know, people get radiation sickness, and right at first it doesn't show unless it's extreme enough. But at first it doesn't show until some time has passed.
Yeah.
And then the symptoms start showing.
Yeah.
That's the time frame he's talking about.
Right. So, you know, the scientist, Mr. Fry, is like, you know, I loved my son. And Hulk's like, you know, you put him in a grave. You didn't love him. You were afraid of dying, and you wanted to do anything necessary to keep yourself from dying. And, you know, he brings up the idea of the chain of grief. You know, do you know how many people you've killed because of your actions?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just your son that died.
It was all these people.
Yeah.
All these people that are around us.
Right.
Like, literally, their corpses are right here.
Yeah. And, you know, the guy's like, you know, I made mistakes, but I don't want to die. And Hulk has this fucking badass line that says, like, you know, you made your bed, Fry. Now it's time to lie in it. And he reaches in for him. And the next thing we see, Fry wakes up. He's had both his arms and legs ripped off because he can't die. And he has been buried. Buried alive 20 feet under the ground. Rocks stacked on top of the hole that he's in.
Yeah, he's like in the side of a mountain.
Yeah,
too.
and then a boulder pushed in front of the fucking mountain mouth.
And the whole time, Fry's like yelling, like, please, anything other than this, just kill me.
Yeah,
like,
death is better than this.
And it's like, dude, Hulk not playing any fucking games.
Nope.
God damn, dude.
Nope. And then the issue ends with like the CDC or like the hazmat people digging up Dell's grave and seeing that he is alive.
Yeah.
And he's just like his father.
Yeah, all like glowing green. You can see the skeleton. All Yep.
So we get to issue 3.
This is a weird issue.
I 100% agree. I think this is the weakest issue.
I agree, because not a whole lot happens.
No.
The catch is the different art styles and
which I like that part.
I think they executed it perfectly, but really this issue doesn't really service anything other than I would say the only thing it really pushes forward narrative wise is the name of the run, Immortal.
Yeah.
Hulk, and a little bit more of the Green Door.
Yeah.
Like, narrative. That's all it does. Otherwise, it's just another like quick like Hulk takes down a baddie. Like that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
The twist being it's coming from different witnesses, and each witness has a different art style.
Yeah. So issue 3's quote is, "And in the lowest deep, a lower deep, still threatening to devour me, opens wide," by John Milton, Paradise Lost. So I don't know what Paradise Lost is, or I don't know if I've read it. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I've definitely heard Paradise Lost. I think it's one of those things that you possibly read in high school English.
Probably. I don't know.
I don't.
I'm sure
I know it's classic
popular
literature because I've heard Paradise Lost before.
Yeah.
We are very
illiterate.
Yeah, we're intellectuals over here.
Look, in this room that we're sitting in right now, not a single book that doesn't have pictures. Let me tell you. Every single book in this room has a picture in it.
I'm just saying this is your room. So I have books with no pictures, but mine involve magic and dragons.
All my books that have no pictures are audiobooks because I don't have the attention span to look at words. All right. So yeah, issue 3, kind of like what Mason said, it's kind of just told from firsthand accounts of things that happened with Hulk. And it's McGee kind of interviewing these 3 different people. It's a police officer, a old lady, and then kind of like a gas station worker type looking dude, or like a trucker.
You have the police officer, an old lady that was
bartender.
A bartender, and then
that was it.
Just those 3. I thought.
Oh no, there was also a priest.
Yeah, the priest as well. Yeah.
So it's kind of, you're kind of following their account of Hulk fighting this villain named Hotshot,
quote unquote villain, because it's like a teenager who, okay, I don't think we can follow the normal format with this issue. So
because it's not told in.
I mean, it's told linear, but like you're getting each
3 different people's perspective of the story,
and they make it pretty apparent that it's unreliable for each of these people.
Yeah.
So the overall arc of this issue is this quote unquote villain named Hotshot had basically supposedly killed his girlfriend, who also had some radiation poisoning, gamma radiation poisoning. She was acting weird before that, talking about the Green Door and everything like that, and like talking about like demons and shit. So Hotshot, freaking the fuck out, was like, he goes to this church on like Sunday morning and goes to the priest and is like, I need you to do an exorcism. And of course, with like how he looks, everyone reacts really badly. And then like he basically takes him hostage because, then the cops show up and he's like, I need you to do this exorcism. Hulk shows up, defeats him. And then when the cops go to the motel or wherever Hotshot was staying, they find his girlfriend with a twisted neck.
Yeah, she's basically like looking 180.
Yeah, and then on the wall, it just says Green Door.
Yeah.
And that's like the overall arc of this issue. But like we said, the twist is the different perspective.
Yeah.
So like
which is cool,
Yeah, it kept me engaged enough, even though like the arc of this issue was kind of boring.
Yeah, for lack of a better term. Yeah. To me, it's just a setup.
Yeah, it is.
For the last 2 issues.
It is. The cops' perspective, I liked the cops' artwork the most that they did, because it's the classic.
The Golden Age.
Yeah, Golden Age Hulk art style.
Yeah.
And then the old ladies was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because it's like a super romanticized.
Yeah. She even says he looked like James Dean.
Yeah. She's like going on and on about how he looked like James Dean. And the art style is very like modern. and like very clean looking, and like they made Hotshot like super attractive.
Yeah.
And then at one point, whenever she talks about the Hulk showing up, they like make him this like really ugly beast, and where he doesn't even speak words, he just goes,
yeah,
you know, like shit like that. And the bartender, the art style reminds me of like, not exactly.
It's like an Adult Swim show.
Yeah, it's like some BoJack Horseman or like My Smiling Friends or whatever the fuck it's
Smiling Friends.
Yeah, Smiling Friends, like some weird bullshit like that.
Yeah.
And then
the priest story is very reminiscent of like,
it reminds me of Hellboy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not exactly like Hellboy, but it is very reminiscent.
Yeah, with like
it has some influence.
Yeah, like the shadows.
Yeah, a lot of shadows.
But yeah, very Hellboy. So like that's the whole shtick of this issue. Yeah. Like you said, it's a setup.
Yeah. Because at the end of this issue, McGee gets a call, an unknown call, and it's someone in Vancouver, Canada, and that is when it's revealed to be Walter Langowski, who is a member of Alpha Flight and is the Sasquatch.
Yeah, which is Sasquatch, which haven't we already come across a member of Alpha Flight? Puck?
Puck, yeah. Yep. And Wolverine Goes to Hell.
Yep.
Man.
I'm learning, man.
Yep.
I'm learning.
Yep, there you go. Maybe we'll eventually cover an Alpha Flight story one of these days.
It seems to be destined, so, you know. But, yeah, like that's pretty much the issue. Like that's the literally like the last couple pages is like the most important for this issue.
This issue could have been like maybe 4 pages long. But yeah, Walter calls and says like, you know, hey, me and Banner were college, you know, roommates, and you know, I can tell you all about him if you want to. And, you know, they set something up.
Yeah. The only other thing from this issue, like I said, that's super, I guess, relevant and important is showing how immortal Hulk is, because Hotshot shoots
a
Hulk.
big ass hole through him.
It's like pretty much his whole chest is like gone, like heart, lungs, everything, spine's gone.
Now we've seen Hulk heal before, but it takes a while.
Yeah, but he heals like immediately.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's because he got shot with gamma radiation, like the blast that Hotshot does is gamma radiation, or if he's just gotten that strong. Yeah, like I'm not sure, but he heals like immediately. He's literally immortal.
Yeah. So issue 4 opens up with a quote that says, "One always dies too soon or too late," by Jane Paul Sartre. No exit.
So, no idea.
Yep, no idea. So,
but it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So McGee is sitting at the airport waiting for Walter to show up, and he gets there. This is the character I was mentioning earlier. I was like, I think this is the character Mason has a problem with his face.
Yeah, he's
got a face.
He's got face.
Yeah,
that is true.
I think that's the point, though. I kind of like it. I like that he's like just got this shit-eating grin.
Yeah,
like the whole time,
and he's got like a half-ass like Wolverine
mutton chops. Yeah. I like it. I think it's cool. So yeah, this issue is essentially just a huge flashback issue, where Walter is explaining how they went to college together. They're both extremely intelligent people, but he was more focused on football, while Banner was solely focused on his studies.
Walt says that, you know, he was about sports first. He literally only pursued science as a hobby to make himself seem more interesting.
Yeah.
Like Walt admits that 100%.
Yeah, it was very vain.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's talking about how one day on the news he saw Bruce turn, like, he as the Hulk destroy like a city, and it got him curious, and he was like, I quit like my football career, you know, and I wanted to duplicate what Bruce did, and like, you know, see if I could, you know, be just as smart as him. And he's like, it worked, you know, but there's a catch to it, essentially. And you know, he he essentially says like, I also can transform just like Banner, but my trigger isn't from rage. He says like, I'm not prone to rage, which is why he can control his shit.
Yeah. Well, he also brings up, which I thought was super, that like the one thing that kept me engaged was this whole green door thing. Which he eventually talks about. He goes, when he first became Sasquatch, he essentially was possessed by this thing called Tannerak.
Yeah, spirit.
Which I was like, okay, so does that mean the green door is like a portal to hell? Like, what the fuck is this green door? Well, it pretty much is a portal to hell.
And that's what Walter explains.
Yeah.
Is like, the longer you stay in your gamma form, the more susceptible your body is to outside forces coming through the door and going into you.
And possessing you, essentially.
I will say during this explanation, we do get a nice little flashback to McGee as well, as her as a child. And, you know, it's essentially Hulk completely destroyed her town. And her dad saying, like, don't look him in the eyes. And when he says that, she's just staring at him. And then Hulk turns around and all you see are Hulk's eyes looking back at her.
Yeah.
And, you know, they end up getting to the scene of the latest Hulk sighting and just complete destruction everywhere. Everything's destroyed.
Yeah, this van's, like, fucked up and stuff. And McGee's eventually, you know, she's like, all right, we're going to go to the local bar. And Walt's like, it's too early to drink. Why the fuck are we going to a bar? Yeah. And she's like, no, it's what Bruce does. Yeah, like, she's pegged down Bruce's methods.
Because she's essentially following him.
Yeah, she's been investigating him and following him for God knows how long. And she's like, that's what Bruce does. He goes to bars and asks about problems. Yeah. And then he does his own form of green justice.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. So they're questioning the bartender, saying like, oh yeah, he stopped in here earlier. I was asking questions. He essentially like goes town to town and goes to the local tavern and asks for some like town rumors. That's what he does.
He pays 100 gold for rumors and, you know, and then, you know, does some side quests.
Yeah, before he goes to stop Alduin.
Yeah, exactly. Before the local mud crab pisses him off.
Yeah. So while they're getting this information, a couple of the like locals or the regulars start fighting, and they get into a pretty intense fight. And so Walter steps in. He's like, hey, like, chill
out.
You guys need to chill. This isn't the place to be doing this. And then one of the dudes who was fighting pulls out a fucking like combat knife and stabs Walter right in the fucking spine.
Yep.
Like right in his back. And Walter's like fucking dead.
Yeah. Like he's not okay.
Yeah. They call an ambulance and they get him there like quick, but he's.
Yeah, they're like operating on him and stuff. And the doctor, I guess, told McGee like straight up, like, there's like a chance we're not going to be able to save him.
Yeah.
And while she's sitting and waiting, I actually really like this part. She's sitting there waiting for his procedure to be done.
Yeah.
And Bruce sits down right next to her. And she doesn't even have to like look at him.
Yeah.
She just knows. And you can see the absolute terror on her face when she realizes it's fucking Bruce sitting right next to her.
Yeah.
The fact that she has the ability to like talk to him impresses me, because it's like you can tell she is fucking afraid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which you should be. Let me just say, if I lived in the Marvel universe, yeah, I understand the Hulk's a good guy.
Oh, I'd be scared.
But like, if the Hulk was in the same building as me, I'd be like, well, great. I'm either gonna end up in the grave or I'm gonna end up without a car. Like, it's going to be something. Or a house.
Or paralyzed. Or without a limb.
He's going to use me as, like, a fucking throwing weapon. He's gonna fucking toss me into Abomination.
And knowing my luck, he's going to roll a nat 1. And I'm going to die.
I'm just going to go flying right past him.
Yeah. Into, like, some electric lines or something.
So, yeah, they're having this conversation. And there is something really nice that I like that's punctuated. because there's in the background you can kind of see a window, and as they're talking, it gets kind of darker and darker. And this is where we get the explanation of Banner being able to find people with gamma signatures, because he says everyone gives off slight radiation.
Yeah,
but
which is scientifically true.
Yes, but people like me and Walter give off unique signatures because we are gamma individuals. And McGee's like, you can sense that, and he's like, I can't. He can. And he's talking about the Hulk.
Yeah.
And they're cutting from them working on him, saying like he's not responding, and Banner's asking him asking McGee like, is there a chance that he'll survive? And McGee's like, probably not. Yeah, they said he's probably not. And Banner essentially says like, well, now we'll see, like, if Walter dies, because like we'll see if he's exactly like me.
Yeah. Like if Walt dies, Sasquatch isn't dead.
Yeah.
Sasquatch is a gamma being.
Yeah. And he says like it's nighttime.
Yeah.
And then we see, obviously the doctors and the surgeons think that he's dead. They lost him. And then you see him start to transform into Sasquatch. And obviously this is all also being narrated by Banner, because he's like, oh, the nighttime is his time, that kind of deal. And the issue ends with, Sasquatch coming out. And this Sasquatch looks crazy.
Yeah.
Fucking
his
wild.
eyes red, everything.
Yeah. He looks insane.
I will say, I'm pretty sure it was this issue. I think I got a little ahead of myself. At one point there's with the flashbacks, Sasquatch is talking about his time in Alpha Flight.
Yeah.
And how actually that bitch, Captain Marvel, is like, how she's the leader of like every fucking team known to man, I don't know. But she's like, you've been spending way too much time as
That's
Sasquatch.
Actually in the beginning of the
Oh, is it?
issue. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't skip over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like, you've been spending way too much time as like Sasquatch.
He's essentially like Sasquatch all the time.
Yeah. And he's like, Tanorak's not in here anymore. It's all me. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then he goes to like their locker room or whatever, and he's like, fine, like if they want Walt, I'll be Walt for a while. And he transforms back, but he struggles with it.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
And he at least, Walt is smart enough to be like, oh shit, that was really hard to do. He's like, I should talk to someone about it, but he ends up not being able to do that.
Yeah, because he also sees Sasquatch in the mirror.
But it's no longer like the Sasquatch that he is.
Yeah.
And then that kind of goes into the reveal of him in the operating room as Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Because Bruce busts in. He tells McGee, make sure everyone gets evacuated out of this hospital. Like, this is about to be ground fucking zero. And he goes in to confront Sasquatch. And when he walks in there, fucking Sasquatch is like, I'm pretty sure eating the doctor.
Yeah, he is.
And which caught me off guard. I was like, okay, cannibal. Cool. And I think, isn't Bruce like, he's like, Walt, like,
yeah,
trying to talk to him, and Sasquatch turns around and is like, Walt's not here anymore.
Yeah, and he
basically
slashes Banner's throat.
Yeah, kills him. He's like, how does it feel to die?
Yeah.
He
asks, does it hurts, doesn't it? And and Banner, like, obviously he's gurgling, he's like, always. And then he immediately transforms into Hulk. And I like this line because it kind of shows a little bit of growth for Hulk. And Hulk says, but when you hurt Banner, I take it personal.
Yeah.
And he fucking just lays out Sasquatch. I will say real quick, because there's one more quote. At the beginning of this issue, it says, my devil had been long caged. He came out roaring. And that's Robert Louis Stevenson, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
Which is a book and movie I've actually read and watched.
Yeah, I've actually read not the full book of Dr. So, slight tangent. Growing up, I've always liked books and things like that. My mom at like I don't know what an antique store or something like that. She found a bunch of small books. They were still like 100-something pages in them, but they're really small, and they were of classic literature that had been rewritten for younger kids.
Yeah.
And so I had like 30 of these books. I still have some to this day. And Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde were one of them, and I've read it. It's good. Like, it's classic literature for a reason.
Yeah.
And the only other Mr. Hyde and Dr. Jekyll experience I have is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, if you've ever seen that movie.
I have not. Nicole wants me to watch it. I haven't seen. You gotta keep in mind, I haven't seen a lot of movies.
Yeah, and I know you're not a movie guy.
I'm a huge movie guy, but it's horror movies that I'm.
It's not a horror movie though.
No, it's not. But I'm saying like horror movies is like what I know a lot about.
Oh yeah.
But like other genres of movies, like besides superhero movies and fantasy movies, I haven't watched a whole lot of other stuff.
That movie is essentially like your Avengers, but horror icons.
That's what she said. Because like Bride of Frankenstein's in it or something like that.
I don't think it's Dracula, but like
the female Dracula.
Well, there's husband and wife vampire.
Oh, okay.
Like couple.
Yeah, she said
Invisible
I would
Man.
Like it.
Yeah, you would like it. You would. So don't doubt. Your wife knows you.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But
so yeah, the fight between Hulk and Sasquatch starts.
Tangent. Sorry, tangent over.
You're good. Yeah, they just start whooping the shit out of each other. And Hulk's talking some mad shit, and he's like, Langowski is a fucking creep, but he's not a murderer.
Yeah,
like you whatever you are took him over and caused him to murder these people, like, and Hulk's like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you now. Yeah. And they're having this huge fight, and Hulk looks into the window, like, because there's a reflection. And obviously a huge part of the story that we've seen is that, these people, Hulk, Walter, these people look into the mirror and they see the reflection of their monster. Well, when Hulk looks into the window to see the reflection, he doesn't see Sasquatch. He sees his father.
Yeah.
And that's when it's revealed that Hulk's father is possessing Walter.
Yeah, as like a demon because at first he's like, which one, spirit or demon are you? He's like Mephisto. He lists another one.
Tanarak,
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sasquatch says, look behind and see for yourself.
Yeah,
and that's when he sees it. Yeah. And I kind of like it because you just see Hulk's eyes, but the speech bubble that comes from him is just the word daddy.
Yeah, and that's 100% Banner.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So we get this nice little, we see panels from the fight, and then it's coupled with flashback images of Banner's father beating on him. I don't know if you know anything about Banner's dad, really. He was also like kind of like a scientist, but he was abusive.
Yeah.
He ended up murdering Bruce's mom.
Yeah.
And wanted to kill Bruce as well. That kind of deal.
And then didn't Bruce kill him in self-defense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why Bruce is so fucked up in the head.
Oh, yeah.
So they're fighting. This shit goes all the way through the hospital. Really, really nice fight. I do like it.
Yeah.
But it is also very quick because it's only one issue.
And at first, his dad is kind of beating the shit.
Yeah. And you can tell that Banner is kind of at the forefront right now, even though it is Hulk's body, because he's like freaking out and he's kind of scared.
Yeah.
And he's like, it can't be you. You're dead. You're gone. And it's really fucking cool because he says, like, I'm the father that you killed, and I came back through the green door. And, we get that mention of the door again. He's back from the dead. And, who else could hurt you the way that I could hurt you? Who else could scare the monster?
Yeah.
And that pisses Hulk off, and he gets back up. He's like, you think you're important, you think you're special. Hulk says this to Sasquatch. He's like, you're not special. You're just a puny human. Yeah. And he is fucking punching him, beating the shit out of him. at one point Hulk's eyes get fucking punctured out. Like he doesn't have any eyes anymore. And then Sasquatch is going to go and kill some security guards, and Hulk catches him. And that's when he absorbs the gamma radiation out of Walter, transforming him back into Walt.
Yep.
And, you know, he essentially says, like, he can't become Sasquatch anymore. I absorbed all the gamma out.
Yeah, it's basically Walt's back to being a normal human being again.
Yeah.
Which Walt is also, he's been... I don't think his soul ever, like, was gone.
Yeah.
But he's not dead or anything.
Yeah.
Like, he's back to normal. He's fully healed, but he's no longer Sasquatch anymore.
Right. So McGee is just making sure that, you know, he's okay. And she even says, like, you saved him. Like, you saved all these people. Like, because more people would have died if you hadn't been here. And Hulk says, like, you know, he essentially says, like, this is kind of personal. Like, you shouldn't get involved with this. Like, you're just a reporter.
Yeah.
Like, you're just a normal person. And, you know, she replies back with, you know, I have a question for you. And she says, like, you know, they once told me, like, to never look you in the eye. But the day that I saw you, I looked at you. And, you know, Hulk kind of, like, hesitates for a second because it's, like, such a weird way of, like, presenting that. And Hulk says, like, you get one question, make it quick.
Yeah, and then she fucking asks, how do I become like you, or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah,
I was so let down by that
question.
Yeah. Like, I was expecting something like, you know, do you wish, like, Banner wasn't a part of you? Or do you wish, you know, you didn't exist? Like, something like that. But nah, she's like, how do I get power like you? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I was so let down by that question. Because it's like, the presentation of her character throughout this whole thing was like finding out the truth, you know, her overcoming the fear of the monster that she experienced from the past. And just for you to drop that as the one question the Hulk's gonna give you, I'm like, what the fuck was that? That is fucking dumb. I don't know if it comes into play later, but for these 5 issues, I'm like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, just, you know, for if we cover this more in the future. So she asked that question. Hulk stares at her and he just goes, just go home.
Exactly.
Just go home.
He's got the same reaction I had. It's like,
and he walks away. He gets the fuck. And it's funny too because he doesn't like do the Hulk jump.
He just walks away.
He just walks. He's like just walking to his car.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously Walter wakes up and he says, like, I can't feel Sasquatch anymore. He's gone. And as we're finishing up this arc, the narration comes back again, and Banner says there are 2 people in every mirror. There's the one you can see, and there's the other one, the one you don't want to. And it shows Hulk looking into
like a car
window, and it shows Bruce's father as the reflection. And that is the end of the first arc of Immortal Hulk.
Yeah.
Or is he both?
Yeah, and one thing that's super important that was mentioned, I think we might have missed it at the time, was Walt explains, or it was either Walt or Bruce, that I'm pretty sure it was Walt, that the longer you're in the gamma form, I think you might have brought it
I
up.
did, yeah. Where the longer you're in it, the more susceptible you are to people
yep.
coming through the door.
I pay attention. I listen. I listen to you. Okay. Yeah. Well, never mind. Don't listen.
I'll remember this for next D&D.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, that's essentially the end of the first arc. Very quick. I think this is probably one of our quickest episodes. It's good. I really like this first arc. I think it's very episodic.
Yeah.
In its telling, I will say it doesn't stay that way.
Okay.
So
I can tell that this is like a runway, like arc. Like this is just to get you
in the door,
going to what everything else is about. I will say, if it wasn't for the whole idea of the green door, I probably would have been okay with just reading these 5 and calling it a day. But the idea of what this green door is and does, and being like a portal to spirits or demons, has me interested enough that when we do read it in the future, I'm gonna be like, okay, like I wouldn't say I'm gonna be super excited, but it's like, okay,
you're gonna learn more.
Yeah, I'm gonna learn more. I'm interested enough. And stuff like that. But this is definitely nowhere near how I view
the hype level.
The hype levels of Planet Hulk.
Yeah, I don't think anything can really reach that level.
Yeah, dude, Planet Hulk's so fucking good.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the first book me and you both read that we were both kind of like, this is like it's got our metal seal of approval right here.
Yeah,
this story is metal as fuck.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
I don't know if we've really come across another story that is like a certified, metal as fuck story. No, God Country.
I was gonna say
God Country. Yeah.
Even though, as of recording, God Country is one of our least viewed videos.
It is, but
God Country, it has a special place in my heart. I love that story.
Yeah.
I think that's metal as fuck. Outside of things that we've done for the podcast, I don't really have anything that's coming to mind that I'm like, okay, this is like one of my top stories.
Yeah, we haven't, besides like Superman Secret Origins, I don't think we've really covered any of like my favorite storylines.
Yeah.
But I think we'll get there soon.
We'll
get there soon.
If we do this long enough, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So, but I mean, other than that, I don't really have anything else to say about the story. Check it out, pick it up. You can pick it up at your local comic book shop. They sell trades. There's an omnibus of it because the run is complete. It was a 50-issue run, so you can pick that up for a pretty decent price. If you aren't able to pick it up at a local game store or comic shop, game store, anything like that, you can read it on the Marvel Unlimited app. You can buy it on Amazon, whatever's more convenient for you.
Yeah. Obviously, we only read the first 5 issues, so feel free to read more in that. You'll probably get a bigger picture, and then you can look back at this and be like, man,
these guys are fucking stupid.
These guys are probably the stupidest motherfuckers on this planet, So yeah, feel free to do that.
Yep. But yeah, for everyone who listened, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. Keep tuned in for the month of October because we are going to be uploading an episode every week. Because October is one of our favorite months. It is my wife's favorite month because of Halloween.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm a huge horror fan, so I love it too. Other than that, if you enjoyed our content and you think that we are somewhat funny, please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, go over to Spotify.
Yeah. Apple Podcasts, if that's what you use.
We are on all these platforms. Just, your support makes us feel good inside and encourages us to keep putting out content and maybe improve every step of the way.
And eventually, maybe if we do well enough, we might show our face.
Maybe. One day.
Which then you'll immediately ask us not to.
Yep. You'll be like, oh my God, I wish they had never done it. We killed them with our fucking mugs. So, well, all right. That is all I have to say for this episode of Comics with Friends. I have been your host, Ethan, joined with my co-host and best bud, Mason. And we are going to be signing off. But remember, read more comics. It's good for you. Bye-bye.
Bye.